And we're live. Welcome to episode 20 of Orab Sports Complex. Talk sports to me. I'm your host, Guru. I hope you had a great weekend and stayed disciplined and safe through your quarantine. In our last series, we discussed sneaker guides, sports sneakers, how kicks control the game. In our 5-part series, it was full of great guests, and we had excellent ratings. So thank you for your continued support and following, and please continue to subscribe. Tonight, we start our new series titled Small Town Sports, Big City Dreams. 10 ways to separate yourselves in a world of competitive athletics. So tonight, we're going to talk about the student athlete and how the student athlete can separate themselves in terms of being ultra competitive and moving on to the next level if that's what they so desire. We will have another guest, another great 5-part series with a great list, starting tonight with former Morehead State University program assistant and current Tusculum University coach, assistant coach Justin Chartrand. So we'll tap in with Justin in just a few minutes. Follow us on Facebook at Talk Sports to Me, Instagram at Talk Sports TM, or Twitter at Talk Sports to Me 1. All syndicated podcasts are available on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Breaker Radio, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcasts. Just search Talk Sports to Me, keyword Jason Thompson, or Orab Sports Complex, and get caught up on all past episodes. Again, tonight, small town sports, big city dreams. 10 ways to separate yourself in a world of competitive athletics. So I will give you a list of those 10 things, but each night from Monday through Friday, we'll really take 2 of them and we'll expand. And so the ones that we're going to expand on tonight is living outside of your bubble and developing a plan. So let's go ahead and get started. There are many things that separate large cities from small town communities or villages. And some of those things, to begin with, is the reality and opportunity for the kids that grow up in those communities. And a lot of times, the kids who grow up in smaller communities just don't have the opportunities that some kids that grow up in bigger cities have, based solely on the fact that the resources are just not there and are not available. And so I'll go over a few of the differences just to give you a little better understanding of what some of those differences are between the big cities and the small towns. One is the biggest is the level of competition. In bigger cities, every night you're competing against someone who is as good or better than you every single night when you're playing in big cities. And there's a misconception because a lot of times people say that they're from Cleveland, but they're really not from Cleveland. They're from Lorain, or they're from one of the smaller suburbs in Cleveland that sit 25, 30 minutes outside of Cleveland. And that doesn't make the player any less of a player. It just means that you didn't grow up playing in the Cleveland City League or the Columbus City League or the Cincinnati Public Schools League, the CMAC, the Cincinnati Metro Athletic Conference. Those schools, night in and night out, have the best players in every sport that sport has to offer. There are no easy games. And sometimes as you get away from the bigger cities and move more into the suburbs, you start to find out that there are kids who are really good inside of that bubble, but outside of that bubble, they just aren't as good. And so next would be opportunity. And I spoke on that just a minute ago, just briefly, and I'll expand on it. The opportunity to compete on a big stage. When I say a big stage, I don't mean a packed gym, because there are no stadiums that get as packed as the stadiums and gyms in rural America. You go to a smaller town or a smaller city or a village, and if that gym seats 5,000 people, there might only be the consensus may only say that the population is 2,500, but there's 5,000 people in that gym on a nightly basis, or 10,000 in that stadium for those games, just based solely on the fact that there's really nothing else there to do. But who else besides the fan of that particular school is at those games? And so that's another one. Opportunity, a big stage, and I mean, I'm not talking about the big stage in terms of the amount of people. I'm talking about the big stage and the quality of people that are at those events. Okay. And last but not least, I will say politics. Politics in which, when it comes to AAU and travel ball, there's a lot of politics. When I was an assistant at Ripley, when I was an assistant at Bethel, and as a head coach at Felicity, I've called people and tried to discuss with coaches about getting some of my athletes in for tryouts, and they just are not open to getting our student athletes from this area in for tryouts based solely on the fact that maybe their numbers seem fudged or don't seem realistic based on the amount of competition that surrounds that student athlete. And so politics, for small town kids, if they don't have an inside track, a lot of times they don't have the opportunity to participate on high level AAU teams and stuff, just based on the fact that they don't have an in or they don't have a connection. So those are just a few of the things that the small town athlete has to deal with. But that doesn't mean that that small town athlete can't have big time dreams. And so tonight I want to go over the 10 things, and all week we'll go over this, but I want to go over the 10 things that a small town athlete with big city dreams has to do to accomplish their goals or complete or fulfill their dreams. And number one being, live outside your bubble. Don't live inside your bubble. Don't allow yourself to think that what's going on inside your bubble is what's going on in the world, because there's so much more out there. So expose yourself and live outside that bubble. Number two is develop a plan. You have to develop a plan and put a plan in place to attain what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Do you have goals or do you have a purpose? Because goals without a purpose, and I heard a coach say this on a coaching conference, a goal without a purpose is a mute goal. It doesn't matter. Number three, find your niche. Everybody can't be the leading scorer. Everybody can't be the leading rebounder. Everybody can't lead the team in assist, and everybody can't be the team's best defensive player. The guys who do that and do that at a high level will not play inside their bubble anyway. So once you get outside your bubble, find your niche, because your niche is very important to a coach. You got to find it, okay? Number four, surround yourself with quality leadership. That being coaches, trainers, teachers, etc. So you say, how do I surround myself with quality leadership? The only teachers that I have are the teachers that the school district offers. Well, you may have to get outside your box and get outside your bubble to find someone who specializes in whatever it is that you aren't real successful in. So if you struggle with math, you need to find someone outside of your math teacher at your school to help you get the extra work that you need to elevate your math score so you can get the 20 or 21 that you need on your ACT to have your sum score of 75 that you need to compete at the next level. So the first one, live outside your bubble. The second one, develop a plan. The third one, find your niche. The fourth one, surround yourself with quality leadership in coaches, trainers, teachers, etc. Number five, outwork your competition. Outwork your competition. So whoever lives in your bubble, regardless of how talented you are, you have to take your talent, and you have to level your talent up to where you're still outworking the competition. Even if the competition isn't as good as you, even if you can go score 3 goals in a game in soccer, even if you can pick up a 2-seam, 4-seam fastball, curveball, changeup coming out of the pitcher's hands because they can't disguise the ball, even if you can go score 35 every night in basketball with 15 rebounds, even if you are playing lacrosse and you lead the team in points, you still have to outwork your competition if you are a small town athlete with big city dreams. Okay. Number 6, be open-minded in your development. Your development is going to be different than everyone else's development. Your development won't be the same as your cousin that plays in the Cincinnati area, that plays at Moeller, St. X, Lakota East, Lakota West, or even West Claremont, for instance. If you're from Columbus, your ability, if you live on the outside of Columbus, you're not going to get the same developmental plan as a kid that plays at Hilliard, Beechcroft, or Independence, or East. So be mindful that you have to be open-minded in your development and be focused on what needs to happen for you to elevate your niche, which was number 3 on the list, for you to progress past a big city kid. Number 7, find select programs and AAU programs that serve your needs. Just because they say that they play on the EYBL circuit, which was what the primary basis of episode 5 or 4 of last week was, or the Gauntlet, which is the Adidas circuit, or the Rise, which is the Under Armour circuit, just because they say that you're going to play on that tour, if you're not going to be one of the 7 or 8 guys in the rotation that plays high-level minutes, maybe that AAU program is not the place for you. So find select and AAU programs that benefit your needs. 8, get started with your ACT and SAT prep and testing early. There's no limits on how much you can take those tests. So get your ACT prep in and get your SAT prep in, whichever the state that you live in requires, and pound away at that. Take spare time, get with someone who can help you with your preparation, and climax in terms of how prepared you are for that test, because that test means everything. Without the score, you prop 48, you sit out, or you don't play. Number 9, get your internet questionnaires filled out early. Don't wait until you're halfway through your junior year to start filling out questionnaires. You can answer those questions based on personality and based on interest and needs. You don't have to answer those questions based on level. So fill out as many of those as possible. There's no rules and there's no guidelines on how many questionnaires that you can fill out. So get your internet questionnaire filled out early. And number 10, build as many relationships as possible. Relationships are the foundation for everything that you will do in life. They're the foundation behind your career. They're the foundation behind your family. They're the foundation behind athletics. They're the foundation behind everything that it is that you may choose to do. So build as many relationships as possible. So those are the 10 things that you need to do if you're a small town athlete with big city dreams. I will go over those again with Coach Chartrand. He will join us in just a couple of minutes. The commonality for all athletes, though, whether you're from a small area, a city, a town, a village, a community, no matter where you're from, there's one commonality between all athletes at all levels, and that's the dream. And that's what it's about for everyone. It's about the dream. And for some of you, your dream may not be in athletics. Some of you, your dream may be in music, or your dream may be in art, or your dream may be in writing. But whatever it is, the one commonality between all of us, regardless of where we're from, is the dream. So before I go on, I want to define the word dream, because it's a word that you'll hear a lot this week through the series. Small town sports, big city dreams, 10 things you need to know in order for you to be ultra competitive in a world of competitive athletics. A dream is defined as a series of thoughts, images, and sensations occurring in a person's mind during sleep. So all great athletes start with a dream. And this week, and myself and my guest will